there is a seed of equal or greater benefit.
Yes.
Sometimes that's super hard to find. It dude, I'm amazed that you found found a seed of benefit in your brother's suicide. That would wreck a lot of people.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that it didn't wreck you, but
so it did though, because I went down. I was kind of spiraling down, especially with COVID too, because I was like, dude, the world's going crazy. Like, I started to isolate myself, but meeting my mentor now, Jacob Webb, he's changed my life because not only he changed my life, but he changed my perspective, dude. Like, I've always been a dog. Like, I've always been driven. Like, I wanted more. I just wanted to be somebody. Like, that's what, because people are like, Lee, do you have any regrets about the NFL? And I'm like, well, actually, no. But I wanted to get there because the only reason I wanted to get there was to get ahead financially.
What the hell's going on out here?
So once again, everybody, welcome, Dr. Taylor, Fueled by Spite. New guest here. As always, like, share, follow. We've got someone who's, correct me if I'm wrong, fitting up to be kind of a local legend, if you will.
I mean, I'm honored for you to say that, but something like that. I've done some things in the city.
Fair. Yeah. Kind of like what you're shooting for. Kind of rep this city, if you will.
Right. Yep.
So do me a favor. Introduce yourself to the internet.
So my name is Lee Foliaki. I was raised in Euless, Texas, and I met this fine gentleman through rugby, and then we've been friends since. But yeah.
From Euless, still in Euless. I'm talking about repping this city. Tell them what you were just telling me about how basically you're in almost like a full circle moment right now. Kind of coming back and helping the people, giving the kids things that you didn't necessarily have when you were growing up.
Right. So like we were talking about, back in 2020, I got into the school district. It's always been a dream of mine, like bucket list goal to become a teacher and a coach at Euless Trinity. So when the NFL thing didn't happen, I wanted to come back and serve the community. And for me, I'm a football guy. That's all I know. So what better way to impact the community than become a teacher and coach at your alma mater? So I was teaching and coaching there, stepped away in 2020 just because some things had happened. Brother committed,
in the world.
Yeah, COVID was going crazy. The world was shutting down. My brother committing suicide kind of impacted my life. And through that tragedy, I was able to find my purpose. And what I was thinking was very limited thinking because I wanted to impact families and community and my community in just Euless. But God was pulling me somewhere else. He wanted to give me a bigger platform to serve and impact some of the same things I wanted that I was already doing, but just on a different field. So
what is that platform?
So I'm in the financial industry now. My wife and I own our own financial firm, so we're brokers.
Cool.
And we get to teach our financial concepts that they don't teach in school. So
it's a long list, though. There's a lot they don't teach in school.
Right. And I when I got into the school district, I started to kind of see those things. The teachers were kind of complaining to me about the curriculum, and I was like, dude, my kids are here. You know what I mean? Like, they don't teach how they used to teach when we were going through school, like really learning math, reading, leadership skills, kind of just being social with other kids. Now it's more of like they are teaching you how to take tests. Okay, and I get it now because the state funding is based off testing, and I get it. So yeah.
So you said you spent some time in the NFL?
Yes, sir.
What happened there?
So left Texas A&M 2006 to pursue the NFL stuff. I got injured my senior year, missed about 5 games, and I was supposed to be put on the shelves. Man, they were like, Lee, you're done.
Damn.
Season-ending injury, fractured my radius bone. But I knew my draft stocks were, because I was on some people's draft boards, and I knew my draft stocks was going down. And I hated being in the medical corner because like that's the toughest place to be because like you're constantly rehabbing. And it's grueling and it's tough to get back on the field,
especially your senior year.
Right. So those thoughts were in my head. So I had told our training staff, because I'm Polynesian, right? I don't know about other people, but I just feel like we heal faster. It's weird.
Like Wolverine.
I was supposed to be done for the season, but I was like, dude, I still have movement in my arm. But can we just put a cast on it? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So I played the last 2 games versus OU and UT with a cast on my arm. So it looked like RoboCop, but
That's
it
awesome.
worked. So then the draft happened. I knew I was going to be like maybe a later pick, priority free agent.
Okay.
I already knew that going in. I got calls from a few teams asking what airport I was close to, just because they needed to fly me out. And originally, as soon as the draft was over, the Tampa Bay called and was like, "Hey, we need you here Monday."
Oh, damn.
And I was like, "All right, cool," because the draft just ended Sunday, so they were like, "We need you here tomorrow." And they sent the contracts to my agent. Well, they didn't send the contract for Tampa, but Tampa was like, "We want to see if Lee's arm's healthy. We want to take him through mini camp, and then we'll talk contract stuff after." Well, the contracts don't mean anything. You still got to earn it through camp, make the roster, and then that's when the contracts are in full effect, right?
Okay.
So I'm thinking I'm going to Tampa. My agent calls and he's like, "Lee, you're going to Minnesota." And I was like, "What? I thought I was going to Florida tomorrow." He's like, "No, Minnesota's offering you a contract now."
Okay.
And I was like, "All right." I didn't even know where Minnesota was. I knew it's somewhere
That way.
north. Yeah. But I got on the plane and I was going to Minnesota, man. But long story short, some veteran players that got hurt. And I just got caught up in the numbers game.
Oh, man.
And then there's a little more added piece to that, and I'm pretty sure you want to talk about that too. But I grew up in Texas without a social security number. My parents were given a tax ID number for me to just go through school.
Okay.
And somehow I got to college with not a social. My scholarship checks were sent to my parents, so I couldn't cash them because I didn't have an account. So they were happy about that, get my scholarship checks. But then it kind of affected me when I went to camp, because the Vikings are like, "Lee, we kind of know your situation, but we can't pay you your signing bonus because of the Social Security thing."
Wow.
My agent had already scheduled times with them, so I missed one day of minicamp because I had to fly back to Texas to get all my documents.
Okay.
And when I went back out there, I didn't get no more reps in practice, which they allowed me. They said, "Yeah, Lee, you need to go home. It's important because you need that." But when I went back, I didn't get no more reps. And then
weird.
When people had got hurt, that's when they started talking about numbers game, and they had to bring in more veterans. So I got chopped.
So in so many different senses of the word, it was a numbers game. Numbers of players on the field, numbers of identification,
Right.
if you will.
Right.
You made it that far without a social security number.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
So my story, and a lot of people think it's cool. For me, growing up, is like I didn't think it was cool because it was like I struggled. My parents struggled. I couldn't help them because I wanted to work. But many nights with the lights off, grew up poor. But that was my situation. I was able to come to America on my mom's passport because I was a newborn. So my mom still has that passport, and my name's written on there. And that's how I got into America, which is
like handwritten.
Yeah.
Dang.
So I grew up without that. My parents just told me, don't worry about working, just focus on school and football.
Yeah.
So
wow. I had obviously no idea about any of that. That's nuts. Well, hell, that makes this next question like super easy. So with all of that going on, literally from birth till hell, probably present day, you had to have encountered a bunch of different scenarios where, I mean, hell, I'm going to go to the NFL, or I'm going to start my own business. We're going to do this financial thing.
Yeah.
You ever encountered a time when someone's like, "What? Why? That sounds hard. That sounds difficult. Why would you want to do that?"
Well, I mean, I've gotten those questions all my life. You know what I mean? The hard part, and my mentors tell me, like, successful people, they always lean into the pain. They always lean into the hard stuff.
True.
Because there's fruit and there's results that come from that. And most people, when they want to wave the white flag and retreat, like that's when you should be charging. And for me, I've always done that. So when I heard that now, like later on in life, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. That's me. Like when hard things happen, I think different. I just know we got to get through the hard because I know there'll be blessings behind it. So as far as facing those adversities through life, I face it every step. Like I left high school as a standout football player. I was all-state, all-American. And then I find out last minute my stuff didn't clear clearinghouse for the NCAA. And then they're like,
what's that mean?
Well, so the NCAA, you got to fill out paperwork for when you're getting ready to enter college. And there's a scale between your GPA and your testing scores. There's like a scale that we had to meet. So I made a 20 on my ACT, but my GPA I needed a 2.2 for the scales to be even for me to be accepted.
Okay. So again, a numbers game.
Yeah, right. Like, right. And so that was my first challenge with adversity. And you know, I had my own parents tell me like, dude, you're embarrassing the family. And like, I'm like, what do you mean?
By
Like,
trying to go to college?
well, just from not going straight to Division 1 because I signed with Colorado out of high school.
Oh, okay.
And the whole city was like, "Oh my gosh, Lee, you're gonna make it. We're so proud of you." And even my parents. So when I got that bombshell, like 2 weeks before I was getting ready to leave to Boulder, I had to adjust, man. And like I said, it was nobody's more hurt than me. You know what I'm saying? Like
Fair.
I'm thinking I'm going some there, and then it's like, no, you're going to Kansas now. So they placed me in Kansas at a junior college because I didn't qualify to high school at that point because
Who's
of my,
they?
Colorado.
Okay. So, little off topic. Do like bigger schools have kind of junior college like feeder programs kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Kansas was closer to Colorado.
Yeah.
And they just gave me choices because here's the thing: I could have stayed in Texas, you know what I mean? But Colorado was like, you know what? We want you to be closer to us. It'd be a easier way to get you here as far as travel, or we can come to you.
Mm-hmm.
So when they put me there, I felt like it was a step down because big Texas, big time football, and I go to Kansas and it's like culture shock. I'm like,
Where in Kansas were you?
El Dorado.
Never heard of it.
Well, here's a fun fact. That town is where the setting of Wizard of Oz happened.
Oh, cool. Has nothing to do with football.
Right. So that's what they used to tell me, and I'm like, really? And then they started talking about chasing tornadoes, and I was like, this is crazy. So, yeah.
So with all that, I mean, it kind of feeds into the next one here. It seems like there were times, situations where a decision was thrust upon you, let's say, not necessarily a decision you wanted, you made or earned or deserved, but you were almost set with a decision of yourself where you had to either find a way or make a way. Because
Right.
it sounds like there's a bunch of stuff that you've gone through that there wasn't necessarily a path for.
Right. No, I mean you're exactly right. I I always think like because I love playing spades. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's one of those things where it's like you just got to play the hand that you have, whether it's good or bad. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And me, I never wanted to fold my hand. Like I always like to challenge myself to see if I can pull something out of this. And I just feel like my path. I, I kind of started like with the odds stacked against me. Most people would make excuses, but for me, I've seen other stories of people that were way worse than my situation. So it's like, Lee,
Mhm.
you ain't got no excuses, dude. Like, let's figure out a way.
Yeah.
So when things happen, I'm always trying to figure out a way. You know what I mean? There's always a way to get out of a situation, and then I just feel
Where
like
do you
that's
think
how
you got that from, as opposed to just not figuring out a way and just say, well, I guess this is how it's going to be. This sucks, but
man. That's a great question. I get it from my parents.
okay.
So my dad came. He came to the States first. He wanted to get established. Didn't speak no English. Had to find a job.
Mhm.
Had to find somewhere to stay. Had to stack up some money in order to send for me and my mom. So when I think about finding a way or making something happen with what you have, I think of my dad, and then my mom too. She no English. Like my first language is Tongan. I had to learn English when I got to school. So because that's what we speak in the house. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So the only time my mom speaks English is when she's excited, and I'm like, mom, 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 mom. But yeah, I get that from my parents.
Interesting. Again, off topic. Why does she only speak English when she's excited? It seems like if I'm excited, I would go to my native language.
Right. It's backwards, man. And as a kid, I used to be embarrassed, but when she would get excited, she'd just start speaking whatever English word she knew. Like, I don't know. But yeah,
That's
I thought
awesome.
the same thing too. I'm like, usually I would think she would be cussing at me in my language or something,
Right.
but yeah, she started speaking
Interesting.
English.
So connect the dots for us, because you got into the finance thing. I kind of steered it over to the football thing. My bad.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
How did we get from football to basically where you're at now?
Okay, so 2020 happened. When I'm talking about 2020 happened, I mean, COVID. It was crazy. I was teaching and coaching. They sent us home. And that's first taste of
That's right. It was the spring break that never ended.
yes. So that's the time frame. So like March of 2020, we're getting ready for spring break. COVID happens the next week. They
Yep.
send us home. We don't come back, and they're saying maybe in April we'll be back, maybe not. So that's the first taste we got of working from home. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I was like, dude, I kind of like this. I just didn't like.
Yeah, fair as a teacher, yeah.
I was like, I kind of like this. The only thing I didn't like is I became my kid's teacher now. And I just know in our culture, like things are kind of different. So it's like, especially with my boys, I'm kind of teaching with just a shoe in my hand, just to kind of like not really just be like popping them, but it's like just to get their
Let
attention
them know.
because they're all over the place. So, but that was fun. But I got into the financial industry because when my brother committed suicide, Mr. Taylor, he didn't leave my nephew with anything, no retirement, no savings, no life insurance. So for me, that impacted my life because it was a light bulb that went off. I know those things are important. So Lee, if you've done research and you've studied playbooks all your life, like why aren't you studying to go get that taken care of for your family? And I just feel like that was God's way of saying, like, dude, you need to get your house in order. So I met with
It is just a different playbook.
yeah, right. The playbook of life. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So I knew a gentleman. I was a broker in the financial industry. He used to coach at South Lake, had the same
Okay.
background as me. So when I met him, he knew why I was coming to him because I needed to get my stuff in order, especially with life insurance because I know the importance of it. Because my nephew's calling me for things now. You know
Yep.
what I mean? He's like, "Hey, uncle, can you buy me cleats? Can you buy me gloves for football?"
Yeah, not even big things, just
Just
yeah.
the little stuff for life for him. You know what I mean? So like I thought about my kids. I was like, dude, I've got to get my stuff in check. I don't want to leave my wife and the kids stranded. So that's how I got there to meet this gentleman who had the same background as me.
Mhm.
So I was going for one thing. He started to ask about coaching. He was like, "Hey, Lisa, you're coaching at Trinity," and I'm bold, thinking I'm cool because Trinity and South Lake used to battle.
Yep.
And he just looked me right in the eye and was like, "Man, you ain't making no money over there." And I'm like,
How'd you know?
right. But I appreciated him just being bold and honest like that because I'm used to people patting me on my back like, "Lee, you're a beast." For the first time in my life, somebody was just like, "This is what's going on," and dude,
You
gotta
could be
figure
doing
something out.
better.
Yeah. And he before I could respond, Mr. Taylor, he was like, "Lee, I don't mean no disrespect. I just know that life because that's the life I used to live, and that's the life where I used to work. If I wanted to make extra money teaching and coaching, especially coaching, I'd have to drive the school bus on a Tuesday." And I was like, I don't want to do that for the next 30 to 40 years. If I want to make extra money, that's the only way I can make extra money. Then I started thinking about time because what I learned from my brother's situation, I took time for granted. And I wanted more time with my family. We were starting to work from home. So I was like, dude, this is, I don't know. But that was just with teaching and coaching. When I went to see he's my mentor now, Jacob Webb, coolest dude ever. But he kind of changed my perspective that day. I talked with him. So we got the life insurance, the plans, Roth IRAs started. And I felt like I accomplished more than getting to the NFL because, like I said, this is the playbook of life that I need to take care of and give to my family. But then my wife, she had questions. She was like, "Hey, how do you get paid here? Because I'm just curious. What you did for my husband and I only took 15 minutes. And all you did was plug information in the computer." And at the time, we're paycheck to paycheck.
Yep.
You can say we're broke too. We just didn't know how money worked and how to navigate through that because nobody's gave us a playbook for that. So he had made 1,100 just for helping me and my wife put our plans in place, which we needed and wanted. And then my wife was, she goes, "Well, I guess we're doing that today. What do you got to do to work here?" And he was like, "Well, we're in a highly regulated industry.
Yeah.
You've got to clear background checks and you got to pass a state exam." She goes, "Well, we're doing that today too."
Damn, your wife's a decision maker. Holy shit.
Well, I was like, "Oh, well, I guess we're doing this." Because here's the thing, Mr. Taylor, like us Polynesians, I don't know if it's just us, but we're very prideful. Regardless if you're struggling, just like I told you about the story, like I'm always feeling like I'm gonna figure it out. But in this moment, like I'm not figuring it out.
Right.
And my wife is
like, I got it. I got to figure it out.
No, we're doing this.
That's awesome.
Especially because the financial industry had just transitioned to Zoom. And that's what I was doing already. So what Jacob told me, my mentor, he goes, "Lee," because I had my perception of what the financial industry was.
Right.
And he was like, "Dude, you're a teacher and coach. You're going to be doing that here. You're just on a different field."
That's true.
So that's where we're at now. Our office is off Riverside and 820. The vision is to open up 10 more locations in the next 2 years.
That's cool.
Um,
Damn.
and we've got the blueprint because Jacob has showed us personally, because we became the 12th office he's opened, and gave us the keys to become owners. So
Sweet.
yeah.
You have any idea going into A&M or Colorado or Kansas that you'd end up where you are right now?
I didn't, but I'll tell you this. I felt like I was getting equipped.
Okay.
So when you start talking about your God-given talents and gifts, I felt like all of the situations that happened in my life had to happen exactly how it happened. Because now when I'm here, it's like, oh my gosh, dude, I understand why that happened. I understand why this happened. Like my brother's situation, it was the best and worst thing that ever happened to me.
You know Napoleon Hill? Does that name ring a bell?
Yes. Of course.
Yes. How dare you?
Think and grow rich.
Absolutely. Yeah. Within every bad situation, distress, disease, anything like that, adversity, there is a seed of equal or greater benefit.
Yes.
Sometimes that's super hard to find. Dude, I'm amazed that you found found a seed of benefit in your brother's suicide. That would wreck a lot of people.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that it didn't wreck you, but
so it did though, because I went down. I was kind of spiraling down, especially with COVID too, because I was like, dude, the world's going crazy. Like, I started to isolate myself, but meeting my mentor now, Jacob Webb, he's changed my life because not only he changed my life, but he changed my perspective, dude. Like, I've always been a dog. Like, I've always been driven. Like, I wanted more. I just wanted to be somebody. Like, that's what, because people are like, Lee, do you have any regrets about the NFL? And I'm like, well, actually, no. But I wanted to get there because the only reason I wanted to get there was to get ahead financially. Like,
right.
That's the only reason why. But Jacob's like, Lee, you can make NFL money here. I'm gonna teach you how to open up multiple locations. I'm gonna teach you business. I'm gonna teach you finance. And these are things I wish I didn't learn in school. Like,
true.
He started telling me to read books. Like, I was never into reading. I read if it was for a grade, but I didn't read for me to personally self-develop. And first 2 books he told me to read was Rich Dad Poor Dad. And I just felt like I read that and I was like, oh my gosh. I felt like this my whole life has been like.
It's a good book too. Like you read, there's so much, and I feel that could be said for anybody. They can pull stuff out of that. Like, that's not like, oh, I didn't grow up this way. I didn't grow up your way.
Right.
It's not for you. No, that's a solid book.
That book changed
everybody.
My life. That book changed my life because I did have a rich dad, poor dad. So my dad is the poor dad, and then my friends in the neighborhood, they always had things. They had the cars, clothes, trips, food.
Yeah.
I always hung out with them because like they had all of those things that I didn't have. But my dad was always like, you need to go to work, make good grades, go to school, all of those things, right? But that book was powerful, man. I learned a lot, and I've been to college. I didn't really learn too much in college. You know what I mean?
Fair. What was your major when you were there?
They just threw me into agricultural, life sciences, and leadership.
Perfect.
They didn't give me a chance to pick because I wanted to do something business oriented, something of that nature, or some management. I wanted to be an NFL agent. That's what I wanted to do. But they were like, "No, Lee, we're gonna put you here. We don't want you to overload your schedule with hours. Focus on football type thing, but we want to make sure you're eligible." But yeah, that book, it also talked about the school system and how like it was training us to be employees.
Yep.
And I was like, oh my gosh, like we go to school for 5 days and we're off how many days? 2 days. We go to work 5 days and we're off 2 days. It's not teaching people how to become business owners. And a lot of my friends go to college to learn business from professors who are employees. They don't have businesses where they can share experiences. And I was like,
I've never thought of that. And that's not wrong.
Because I'd rather learn from you. You've got your own company business because you can give me experiences. You can give me your failures. You know, I know in football, like we'd be getting reps and standing in line, and I would see somebody mess up right in front of me, and coach is like, "No, you took the wrong step." So guess what? I'm not taking that step when I get up there and get my rep. And I just feel like in business is the same thing. Jacob, my mentor, is always talking about, it's okay to copy people, but just make sure you're copying the right cat.
Yeah. Success leaves a path. Yeah. Leaves clues.
Right. And he tells me all those things, and I just think it's very powerful. But that book was life changing, and then the second book he told me to read was Relentless.
It's not a bad one either. Tim Glover.
Yeah, Tim Grover.
Grover. So getting there.
It's Kobe and Michael Jordan's trainer, And that book just taught me like the mindset of like, dude, relentless. Like I
Yeah.
played football like that, dude, relentless. Like they would all say like play like your hair's on fire. Like that book just stood out to me because it was helping me identify who I was. Because there was different personalities, and it was like,
Even like how he came to the court, and how Kobe was that day, or how Michael
Right.
was. Like the part I liked about that was that he could actually like read the person in front of him, like, okay, here's how I'm going to adapt
right,
my interaction with him today.
right, and yeah, that dude, man, because I just feel like, just like football, like majority of it's mindset. Business is the same.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like if you're not mentally tough, dude, business is up and down until your business is built and systems take over. But like if you're not mentally tough, you're gonna get knocked out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, but that book is awesome, man, because I don't know. I'm obsessed, dude. I get obsessed with anything with sports, but I just know once I lock in on something, like I just have that obsession, like, dude, I
Well, like
want more. I
Napoleon
want
still
to
said
get
too,
better.
it's that
So-
burning desire,
Right,
right?
right. So yeah, being obsessed is okay. That's what my mentor is teaching me, or he's told me. Being obsessed is okay, but some people are obsessed with the wrong things, which doesn't produce results for you in life. So
True. So I'm going to take some different direction here.
okay,
We're going to do a little speed round. Give me a person you would trade places with for a day, and you can't say your mentor.
trade for a day.
Yep.
Just anybody.
Yeah. Who'd you trade places with for a day?
Dang. Jerry Jones.
Fair. just to see what goes through his mind when people ask him, why haven't they been to the Super Bowl?
Oh man.
What's your guilty pleasure?
Guilty pleasure. It's got to be food, man. It's got to be food.
What type?
I like Asian food, seafood specifically. Yeah, it's got to be food. Yeah.
That's fair. Same. Ooh, this is a good one. What's the worst advice you've ever got?
Worst advice: fake it till you make it.
Elaborate.
I feel like that's giving like kind of like a false sense of, I don't know, hope or something. Just saying, oh, fake it till you make it. Like I feel like just because I know I'm a leader, like I believe in the way you do anything is how you do everything.
Yep.
And faking it till you make it is like, just think of the word fake. Like it's not real. You know what I'm saying? But
I like that.
but
It's not real.
My mentor says this all the time. He's like, don't fake it till you make it. You need to faith it till you make it. So
Faith it till you make it?
faith it.
I like that better.
Yeah.
Give me something you wish you were better at.
Something I wish I was better at. I don't know. I wish I was a better. I wish I was a little bit more structured. I mean, I can't really, because I'm a action oriented guy. So it's
Yeah.
like, not saying I tornado through things, but it's like, dude, just show me the playbook. I'll go and get it. But sometimes, because my mentors, I'm always speaking about my mentor, but he's like, Lee, show me a wealthy person that's sloppy. And I'm like,
You ain't wrong.
well, wealthy people aren't sloppy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if they're not structured, they have somebody close to them that is, to where all the pieces could.
True.
So yeah, I wish I was a little bit more structured.
What's the best compliment you've ever received?
Best compliment I've ever received, I would say, the type of parent I am.
Cool. How many kids you got?
I've got 5.
Oh, damn.
Me and my wife got 5. Yeah, so
Damn.
we're working on our 7s rugby team. All right, so we're almost there. Yeah.
So give me this. What's an idea that most people get wrong?
An idea most people get wrong.
Yeah.
Not to take the risk. I just feel like you're taking the risk if you're not taking the risk. If that makes sense.
Makes sense to me.
Well, yeah. So like business.
Yeah.
People were telling me, Lee, you're so dumb. Like, why are you leaving your dream job? That is what you dreamed of, and that's what the title,
Yep.
teacher and coach. I get it, but here's the thing: they didn't see my bank accounts and how that looks like.
Yeah. They didn't see that you were given the option to drive bus also.
Right. So they're patting me on the back, and then when I say I'm going to go for it for my family, my last name, why would you do that? You're risking everything. like, no, I'm risking everything by settling. So yeah, that's what
Oh,
I
I
mean.
like that.
That's what I mean by
I'm
the-
risking everything by settling.
yeah.
That's solid. Dude, this was fun.
No,
This
this
was
was
awesome.
amazing, man. I
Where can
appreciate it.
people find you?
Um,
If you want them to find you.
Oh yeah, of course I do. Hey, because I just looked at that sign. We're on a mission to help as many people as possible. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's ours too, right? Like our target market is to help and serve the middle class because that's the largest demographic, and they're the ones getting
Squeezed.
yes
Yeah.
from the wealthy and the
Yeah.
below the poverty, right? So I'm just like that. I love to help people. I feel like I was called here to serve, and that's my thing. I would help people for free, right? But they're like, Lee, we compensate for that. I'm like, what? Like this? Like that's like finding out, gas is cheap over here on precinct, and I don't post it on social media saying like, dude, you need to come over here.
Check it out.
You know what I mean? So on Facebook, it's Lee Foliaki, just my name. I kind of need to maybe switch up how it looks because my account's been hacked. And I just felt like the devil was trying to come after me because when things were popping, it was like, boom, account gets hacked. And, a lot of people follow me.
He'll do that.
And I was like, oh, this is crazy. But, it's all good. And we ain't going to let it rock us. But, Lee Foliaki on Facebook. On Instagram, it's takeoff_CEO, which takeoff is my brand name. And what else? Yeah, that's what we use most of the time is Facebook.
That's awesome.
And Instagram.
Dude, thank you for the time. I appreciate this. Guys, as always, like, share, follow. Lee Foliaki out here raising the middle class in the big cities. Oh,
Yes,
shit,
sir.
there's your tagline. You're welcome. Again, another episode of Fueled by Spite. I've said it before, I'll say it again. You will learn more here by accident because of people like this than elsewhere by design. Thanks, guys. You have a great rest of your day.